Clara Donovan, a successful tech entrepreneur known for her sharp business mind and cool demeanor, found herself at her most vulnerable on a freezing, rain-drenched New York street. 8 months pregnant and stranded beside her stalled luxury car, she stood soaked and trembling, trying to flag down help while waves of traffic passed her by without a second glance. Her phone was dead. Her driver had left minutes earlier to get help but hadn't returned. Her strength, both physical and emotional, was wearing thin. From the shadows of a nearby alley, a young boy named Eli watched her. Barefoot, wearing clothes too thin for the cold, he looked no older than 10. His face was dirty, and his arms clutched his own chest against the rain. But the moment he saw Clara, fear etched on her face and hand on her swollen belly, he didn't hesitate. He ran to her, took off his tattered hoodie, and draped it over her shoulders. With his small arms waving frantically, he tried to get passing cars to stop. Clara could only stare, shocked that the only person who stopped was someone who had absolutely nothing. His eyes were wide, kind, and full of something she hadn't seen in weeks, compassion. She thanked him, barely holding back tears. That fleeting moment, two strangers from entirely different worlds, would ignite something neither of them could imagine. Clara, in all her wealth and power, would remember one thing: the boy who gave her everything when he had nothing. Later that night, Clara found Eli sitting under the awning of a closed shop, trying to stay dry. She gently invited him to dinner at a nearby diner, nothing fancy, but warm and safe. Eli hesitated at first, but hunger and her kind tone won him over. Inside the softly lit diner, they sat across from each other, steam rising from hot soup and grilled cheese. Clara watched as the boy devoured his food with quiet gratitude, pausing only to thank her. As they talked, Clara learned more about him. Eli had been homeless for 2 years. His mother had died of an illness, and in the chaos that followed, he got lost in the foster care system. Despite it all, Eli didn't speak with bitterness. His voice was filled with hope. He told her, "Sometimes, you gotta be someone else's light, even when you're still in the dark." Those words struck something deep within Clara. For years, she had been surrounded by people with wealth and power, but none had ever given her the peace this small boy offered so freely. She pulled out a pen and scribbled her number on a napkin. "Call me," she said. "I want to help." Eli smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen in days. They parted with a hug. The next day, Clara returned to the same spot, eager to find him again. But he was gone, no trace, no word, just the memory of a boy who had already changed her life. Back in her glass-walled office high above Manhattan, Clara tried to return to business as usual, but she couldn't stop thinking about Eli. His words, his smile, the warmth he showed despite his pain, they haunted her in the best way. She had met thousands of people with power and influence, but it was a homeless boy who had changed her heart. She began to ask questions, visit shelters, and speak to outreach workers, searching for any trace of him. Nothing ever turned up. When her son was born weeks later, she looked into his eyes and didn't hesitate. She named him Elijah. A quiet tribute to the boy who reminded her what humanity meant. But Clara wanted to do more. Using her wealth and network, she launched the Elijah Hope Foundation, aimed at supporting homeless and displaced children across the country. She built shelters, funded education programs, and advocated for foster care reform. Every new facility had a plaque, inspired by one small act of kindness. Years passed. Elijah grew into a curious, compassionate young boy, always asking about the name he carried. Clara would tell him stories. Not just about his namesake, but about the day she was saved, not by status or money, but by a child who gave her his only jacket in the rain. Despite all her efforts, Clara never found the real Eli. But in many ways, he was everywhere, in every child she helped, in every life her foundation touched, and in the boy she now called her son. 18 years later, the auditorium of the Clara Hope Center buzzed with excitement as families gathered to celebrate a new class of graduates. Among them, sitting proudly in the front row, was Clara Donovan, now a nationally respected philanthropist. She watched with quiet joy as her foundation's first full graduating class prepared to step into the world. When the valedictorian was announced, Clara clapped politely, until she heard the name, Elijah Eli Carter. The tall, poised young man stepped up to the podium, eyes bright with purpose. His voice carried strength and warmth as he began. "I was 10 when I met a woman on a rainy night. She was scared. Pregnant. Alone. But she looked at me like I mattered. That look saved me." Gasps echoed through the room. Clara froze. He went on, telling a story about offering a soaked stranger his only jacket, and how her kindness changed everything. "I never thought I'd see her again," he said. "But years later, I found myself standing inside a shelter she built. Her name was on the wall. And I realized, she kept her promise." In the front row, Clara's hands trembled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. It was him. The boy she never stopped searching for. The boy who had saved her. "She didn't just help me," Eli continued. "She helped thousands. Because one moment of compassion can ripple through generations." The audience rose in a standing ovation, but Clara didn't move. She simply wept, overwhelmed by a miracle 18 years in the making. The sun dipped low behind the city skyline as Clara and Eli stood before the newest youth home built by the Clara Hope Foundation. The building was warm, modern, and alive with the laughter of children inside. Its entrance was adorned with a golden plaque that shimmered in the evening light, for every child who felt invisible. "You are seen. You are loved." Eli, now a young man with steady eyes and a gentle strength, stood beside Clara. He held her hand, strong, protective, grateful. They didn't speak for a long moment, just took in the legacy they had built together. The home wasn't just brick and mortar, it was the living proof of what a single moment of compassion could spark. Clara finally turned to him, her voice thick with emotion. "All these years," she whispered, "I thought I was the one who saved you that day in the rain." Eli smiled, tears shining in his eyes. Before he could speak, she added, "But really, you saved me." They embraced, not as a millionaire and a homeless boy, not even as a founder and a graduate, but as two souls who had rescued each other when they needed it most. Around them, the city moved on, unaware of the miracle that had just come full circle. As the sun slipped below the horizon, it cast a golden glow over the plaque, a quiet reminder that the smallest kindness can echo across a lifetime.